called you for some reason. I can't remember. Oh, I know. Is there any Canva or social media post you want me to start working on?
Um, I still have a couple, but yeah, if you find any that you want to do, because I posted a new one today, and I think there's still like a couple more that you did that I haven't
Okay.
posted. But if you have time, that would be cool.
Anything specific?
Um, I'll think about it and try to
Okay.
email you. When can you admit people, Bethany?
I don't know how you share that power.
Okay, I just made you the host, so I think you can admit people now. If you can kind of watch that and see when somebody tries to come in, that would be helpful. I'm gonna try to share my screen real quick.
Okay. It's does it populate or something telling me someone's ready to come in?
Yeah, so like if you open participants, click on participants on the bottom,
Uh-huh.
then it'll just say somebody's in the waiting room, and then you can admit them or admit all.
Okay. Because it
There's
says
many,
there's 4 of us, but I only see you and I.
you can't see Alice and Mike
Mm-mm.
that are in there. They already
Oh,
are.
maybe it's my. Oh,
If you can scroll down, you can't see that.
oh wait.
It's okay if you can't, um, it's fine.
But do you see Alice and Mike?
Yeah, in the participants box.
Yeah, but how do I admit them?
They're already admitted.
Oh,
So
oh, the struggle.
it'll say they're in the waiting room if they haven't
Okay.
been. Okay. I'm just gonna share. Okay, can we see the database things? I had to take back the host because otherwise I couldn't share my screen. So don't worry about letting people in. I'll do that. There's one person. And then, but you could monitor the chat if you want. That makes me feel less worried about trying to figure out the chat. So you can kind of watch and see if anybody has questions.
Okay. I
We'll just
still only see me and you, but I can see 3 other people in the participants, but that's probably okay. I can watch the chat too, though.
Yeah, there's nobody in the waiting room right now. There's 30 people signed up, so we'll give it a couple more minutes, and because we only have to go 50 minutes, and so we'll give it a few minutes before we start.
Oh, I figured out why. It's because they don't have their cameras on, so I couldn't see them.
Okay, it's 10:01. Let's go ahead and get started. For those of you, we'll probably be admitting a few more people. I'm going to move this over so I don't feel like I'm not looking. If I put it right in the middle, then it looks like I'm looking at you guys. I always hate it when it's like a little off center. Okay. Maybe I can go right here so it doesn't feel so off center. Okay. For those of you on, please turn on your cameras. That's one of the requirements of the state unless you don't have a camera. So please turn on your cameras. Some pants on, turn on your cameras. The other thing I would ask is if you don't have any background noise, if you feel like you want to participate, you could unmute, because this class is a lot more fun and enjoyable and worthwhile to people if we kind of share our experiences. So that a lot of people come to this class hoping to just kind of see what other people are doing and hopefully learn some things that they can do better in their business. So all things database, how to begin, how to work your database daily, and how to continue and complete the circle with marketing. I don't know about you guys right now, but we're all in the sales business, and we're having to work about 10 times harder, I figure, for each of our deals right now. We're always chasing deals, right? When's the next deal? We're never done. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. And if you've been to any of my classes, you just send me an email at the end of the class. My email's here on the slide, ejohnson@securityhomemortgage.com. You should have an email from me that I just sent with the links or whatever, but you should be able to just email me the 4 words. So throughout the class, we'll do 4 keywords that you'll have to send to me to get credit for the class. So if you don't email me back, I won't know that you stayed the whole time and that you paid attention. So that's another requirement for the state. I really appreciate that they're continuing to let us do Zoom. I was in a lunch with one of my agents yesterday, and we were just talking about how nice it is that we can do CE via Zoom, because it used to be that you had to be in person, and that takes a lot more time. So appreciate that. We like the class to be interactive, like I said, so please feel free to unmute, ask questions, comment, tell us how you do things. We have an elite, you can scan this QR code, but next Wednesday, isn't it the 15th? Let's see. Oh, can you even see it? Can you guys see it? Let's see. Peter Merkel is going to come talk to us via Zoom Thursday, the 16th of March. So next Thursday. He's one of the top agents, and we can learn a little bit from him. So if you want to come to that, the first 100 will be admitted. And then after that, we will have to send the link to people if they want to hear about what he's done and just learn from a top 1% agent tips and tricks. So scan that, register, hit me up if you need that information. So let's start. This is has become one of our office quotes. One of the girls in our office brought this to one of our meetings, and we talk about it all the time. Have you ever heard a crackhead say, "I have no money. I'm not going to smoke today"? No, they always find a way. Are you going to let a crackhead out hustle you today? So I love this idea of, there's always a way. There's a way to be successful. People are doing it. There are a lot of homes sold in Utah every day or every month, and we just need a little piece of that market. There are more homes sold in Utah than any one agent can handle. And so we just need a little piece of it. And we're going to talk today about how you can get some of that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about our time. So when you have everybody has the same amount of time every day, whether you're a billionaire, a millionaire, whether you're a bum on the street, we all have the same amount of time. So what's the difference between somebody who's uber successful or successful? Now, again, if you've been to some of my classes, we've talked about what does it mean to be successful, and everybody has a different definition of that. So what one person defines as success may not be what your success is. So you kind of have to figure out what is success to you. But we all have the same amount of time during the day, and we basically split up our time between HVA activities, high value activities, LVA activities, low value activities, preparation time, and time wasters. Okay, so anything you're doing during the day, during your work day, is going to fall into one of these categories. Somebody unmute and tell me, what do you think is a high value activity? For you as agents, what are some of your high value activities?
Making calls.
Okay, making calls,
Listing
good.
appointments.
Listing appointments, good. Right, these are gonna be, anytime you're in front of somebody talking about your business, prospecting, those kind of things are gonna be high value activities. What about cold calling? That came up in another class. Would you consider that a high value activity or a low value activity?
Hi.
Okay, so I would argue that I feel like it's low value activity. Why would I say that?
Well, if you have other things to do that are more productive that yield a higher return, then cold calling is certainly low on the priority list. But if there's nothing else that you have netting you callbacks, appointments, listing, appointments, then cold calling may be useful for a reason of getting you motivated, getting you out there for no other reason that
Sure.
it usually nets quite a low return.
Right. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to talk about. I appreciate that point of view because you should be on the phone, right, for a certain amount of time during the day. And if you have referral sources or past clients or those kind of things, those may be higher value than cold calling. But I feel like Patrick is right. If there isn't something else like that, then getting on the phone and cold calling could be really important at that point. But the idea being that as you do these activities, try to see what's yielding you the most return. And calling maybe your SOI, figuring out those kind of things may be a little bit higher value than a cold call where somebody doesn't know you at all. Because ideally, you're going to build this database of people who know you, like you, trust you. And those are going to be the people you want to follow up with. You want to be top of mind with. And those are going to yield you the best results. So the difference between a high value activity and a low value activity, like Patrick said, is what you want. You want a high value activity requires the least amount of your effort and yields the most return versus something that requires a lot of effort and yields very little return. Now, what about time wasters? Tell me a few things that could be time wasters for us as agents or salespeople. I feel like loan officers are very parallel in these kind of things. What could be a time waster?
Social media.
Okay. Now, is social media, I would call it a necessary evil. I mean, some people love social media. It's not my favorite. I don't love how I feel when I scroll through everybody's perfect lives. But what kind of people are coming up here? Who are going to be the buyers? Most likely now. Right? These young kids who are on the phone all the time, on TikTok, on social media, they go online to look at people, to research people. They're on social media a lot of time. And so I feel like it's a necessary evil, but you can get sucked into it. So I tell people, set aside 20 minutes a day where you're going to go in, post something, interact, like something, comment on things, and then have a timer because, it's very easy to get sucked into it. And 2 hours later, you're like, what the heck? Like, I just spent 2 hours on social media and I got no return for that. So I would definitely say you should be on social media. It's a good way to keep in contact with people. You should be posting probably at least 3 times a week and interacting and sharing people's things so that you get more traction. It definitely is worth your time to spend a little bit of time in social media, but be super careful that you don't end up wasting your time in social media. Okay, what's another time waster?
Emails.
Okay, we need to go through our emails. But it's really easy to, instead of doing our calls, go back and see, did somebody email me? Is there something I could do over here, right? Because you're always it's very easy to find something else that feels productive and avoid some things that we don't love doing, but that are more productive. So be careful with that. I typically try to say, okay, I'm going to get up in the morning, I get at my desk, have 15 minutes, clear out my email, move on to something different. So we'll kind of go through some of the things that are super important to try to keep that. Okay, good. So there definitely are time wasters. Be careful of those. Notice those. Notice if you're spending time, maybe even, for the next few days, take a minute and notice what am I doing? during the day and kind of write down your schedule for the next couple of days and just analyze where am I spending the most time and is it in the most efficient places? Okay, so preparation. What kind of things are preparation? And our preparation, is preparation time necessary? Anybody have an idea? Okay, so in my mind, preparation is like getting social media ideas, figuring out what you're going to post for the next few times, working on your posts, flyers, working on your database, making sure that you have enough, trying to figure out, like, there's a lot of preparation things that you can get sucked into too. And so we're going to talk about, having a time set aside for prospecting, how much time that should be, and being careful. You're going to need to prepare. You need to make flyers sometimes. You need to do your social media posts sometimes, but be careful that you're not spending your whole day doing that and that you make sure you have your prospecting time in, because right now, more than ever, we've got to spend, make sure we spend enough time marketing. Okay. Any questions on that? High value, low value, time wasters, and preparation. Write that down and see if you can, in the next few days, can kind of see where are you spending the most time and is there something you could tweak and improve. Okay, anybody willing to unmute themselves and tell us what is your goal as a real estate agent? Why do you do real estate? What got you into it?
I will.
Okay, thanks, Alice.
A friend talked me into it, who is a realtor. And I was just going to be an assistant and work part-time. But as soon as I started training to be an assistant, I realized that what I really love is the houses and the people. And I was just working with paper.
Okay.
So I realized I wanted to be an agent. So I like that a lot more. And one of the reasons is I just like helping people. But I'm realizing that I'm losing a lot of money by just helping people. So
Okay. Do you want to explain that a little bit? How are you losing money by helping people?
I've done some discount
Okay.
and stuff. And when I added it up, I'm like, oh gosh, that's a lot of money that I
Right.
want. But as a new agent, I was willing to do that. I realize now I'm not going to be doing that very often anymore.
Okay.
So
So you were willing to do that in the beginning to have somebody give you a chance,
mhm,
right?
yeah.
And then you're like, wait a minute, my time is worth something. And you guys do a great service for people. And sometimes I'm surprised when people don't want to use an agent, especially when they're buying, because the sellers are paying for your agent. Why wouldn't you use an agent? And then when they're selling, I'm surprised that too, because you don't know the market as well as these agents do, and they do offer a good service. So yeah, discounting your fee. I love it when people realize, wait a minute, I'm worth this. I offer a service and this is something that's worth it to me. So that's great. Was there any piece of you when you decided to be an agent that was like, I have all this freedom. There's nobody that's saying I have to do things. There's nobody telling me what time to be at work. I hear that a lot as something that people really appreciate and love about the industry.
Yeah, that was important to me. I realized once I was like doing an 8 to 5 as an assistant, I was like, no, I want a little more freedom. So I like the variety a lot better too.
Sure. Patrick, you unmuted. Were you going to say something?
Well, no, I was just going to parallel that. That's a really interesting comment too on the discounting, because I feel like in this last 18 months to 2 years, a lot of agents, just to get their foot in the door, discounted services, at least listings too, because their thinking was, well, hey, if I can get more listings, at 2% or 2.5. And now that the market's changed, I'm seeing, and at least hearing feedback from people saying, well, why aren't we doing 2.5 and 2 listings anymore? And I'm like, well, we're in a different universe now. And when you could get $80,000 for a house, some agents made the mistake, I think, of putting greed before sense and saying, well, yeah, sure, I'll discount services because I'll be making more. not thinking about the future when the markets may change or our market will change and how that will affect or negatively impact, working for more for less return. So that's a very interesting perspective that was brought up.
Yeah, it definitely is. And now, I mean, back of, I don't know, a couple of years ago, right? Or a year ago even, you could sell a house in 3 days, right? It's under contract.
That's just it.
Right?
It takes considerably more time and more marketing and more effort, which is okay. I mean, that's part of the deal. The cycles change. But there were so many discounted properties. I think that now a lot of the public just sort of expects that. And going back is more problematic.
Yeah, it's definitely harder. There's no question. Yeah. So definitely consider that, when you're thinking about what you're worth, and, you don't go to a plumber and say, hey, can you give me can you discount your income by or your profit by half, right? But some of these self-employed businesses, it's like contractors and that, people always expect in sales that you can discount, and you can only do that a little bit. I mean, every once in a while I keep kind of a little pocket so that I can discount when I need to, but I'm not going to discount all the time, right? What we do is worth something. So yeah, definitely think about that. Okay, so anybody else? I want to kind of go into a little bit the whole idea of being a real estate agent for more freedom. I feel like it's a positive, and it's also on the con side too. And I would be curious if anybody has any other comments about that too, because I feel like in a sales job that has a lot of freedom, you love it, right? You could be your own boss, but then also you get to be your own boss. You got to make sure that you're doing the things that you need to do, and there's nobody necessarily holding your hand. There's nobody making you do them. You have to be much more in control of your life and your hours in the day to make sure that you can be successful. Anybody? Well, we kind of talked about whys a little bit. You definitely have to have a really strong why to keep you going in these harder times, right? And in these sales type jobs. So, you're going to have days when everybody tells you no. You're going to have days when you don't really know what to do. And so you have to have a really strong why. Why am I doing this? So that you don't just give up, and so that you keep going because you know that there's a reason why you're doing it. I was talking to somebody today in our office. My voice is being stupid. Talking about the idea of why is it the negative motivation is so powerful? Why do we have, I want to have a positive motivation all the time. I don't want to have something negative hanging over. And I'm thinking about my kids right now, but we kind of said the same thing about just us in general. Everybody kind of is more motivated by this negative outcome that could happen. I don't get out of bed, and if I don't do my job, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. I'm not going to be able to have a house. Like, there's always kind of that motivation. We have the positive why too, but I'm just very surprised with human nature in that, we said one time to one guy, okay, who do you hate the very most? Like, what's somebody that you don't like that you would hate to have to pay money to? And this agent was like, homie. And okay, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, then you are required to write a $200 check to homie. And that was the motivation he needed to do the things that he needed to do. So I don't know why that is with our, we have this like idea, okay, I'm not doing that, and so I'm going to do this. But I like the idea that we have a why that's strong enough to keep us through our hard days and makes us do the things that we want to, because we know why we're doing it. So kind of take inventory of your why and make sure your why is strong enough. What things are you guys doing right now to reach your goal? Just throw out a couple things that you guys do on a consistent basis that helps you reach your goal.
I try to call 10 people a day.
Okay, wonderful. And do you have a certain time that you do that?
Usually in the morning, sometime between 9 and 11.
Okay.
I'm trying to get more consistent about it.
Right. Okay, awesome. I love it. Thank you. Okay, so tell me again, 10 calls a day?
Yeah.
Okay, 10 calls a day. Anybody else have something that they try to do on a consistent daily basis?
I try to send out crumble cookies through their app
Oh,
with a little note or a video, just a little touch for their birthdays, things like
I
that.
love it. I love it.
Pretty
We were
quick.
talking, yeah, we were talking about birthdays and how you want to do something besides just like an automated email, right? You want to stand out. That's a great idea.
Right.
And I bet, is that for your past clients? Is that who you do it for?
Yes, for past clients. So just kind of keep track of everybody's birthday through Keller Williams, Command has that option and it's Facebook as well. And you can pre-schedule, which is kind of nice.
That is nice.
If anybody has connections to Crumble, please complain about their app, though I'm doing my best. But it is a great way to do a quick touch.
And makes them feel special, and I love it. You stand out, right? Because if
Yes.
you're just commenting on their Facebook or sending an automated email, that you get hundreds of those or whatever on your birthday. So something to make you stand out. I love that idea. Great.
Right.
And I've noticed that there's a lot of agents that forget about their past clients. So, you probably want to, like, a birthday is a great idea for past clients. Remember them once a year and make sure you stay in contact with them because, about every 7 years, people are buying a house and you want to make sure you're in contact with them. You want to make sure that you're, those are the people who are going to give you really good referrals too. So don't discount those past clients.
One more quick thing. I actually work with my sister who is number 4 at Keller Williams South Valley.
Nice.
She works completely on referral. So touching your past clients, keeping them in the loop, man, it's a huge database builder.
Sure.
So
And what about almost clients too? Don't forget about the people who almost bought because eventually they will buy too. So
exactly.
yeah, and we'll talk about that too. Okay, thank you. Who has an accountability partner? Just raise your hand if you have an accountability partner right now. Okay. Is it Corinne?
Yes.
Oh, okay. My aunt's name's Corinne.
Oh, cool.
Spells it a little bit different, I think. So most of us probably have accountability partners. I couldn't see everybody's hands at the same time, but just curious if you have one and how you use it. I go back and forth a little bit, so I'll have an accountability partner for a little while, and then I'll kind of stop, and then I'll have an accountability partner for a little while. And the idea being that we can't always see what we need to tweak and improve, and we need to be constantly tweaking and improving as the markets change, as social media changes, as interest rates change, right? So the accountability partner can help you see areas where you're blinded and you don't realize you could improve. So think about getting an accountability partner, maybe not always, right? You can kind of every once in a while say, hey, can you kind of look over what I'm doing? Can I check in with you for the next couple of days and just see if there's anything that you can see that I can improve on? Okay, let's talk about our success formula. If you've been to any of my other classes, you've probably seen this. Frequency times reach times credibility. Let's write that down for our first word. Frequency times reach times credibility. You can just put F times R times C for our first word. So our first word is F times R times C. What are we talking about with frequency? Let's talk a little bit about how frequent should you be reaching out to the people in your database, in your SOI, past clients. What's the magic frequency? Is there a magic frequency?
What works?
Okay, good. What works, and how do you know if it's not working? Right, there's always
Traffic
people.
slows down.
Okay, well, and there's always people who say, what if, there's this balance, right? Too much and they tell you take me off your list, right? Too little and they're listing with someone else, or they forget about you. So what do you guys do? There's not necessarily a magic thing, right? Like Patrick said, what works, what you feel comfortable with. There's a lot of things like that, but anybody have something that they do on a consistent basis, and how often is it that they'd like to share?
Honestly, most of these lists are a hybrid too, because there's certain clients that like to hear from people or us more, and then others that say once a quarter is plenty.
Sure.
So you kind of have to figure out by dialogue or talking to them, or just honestly asking the question of, what do you think? Is it too much? Do you want more? And kind of making a note for each client, at least return or repeat clients.
Sure.
Start with that.
Right. And I think that that's a great idea, right? For me, it's how comfortable am I? Like when I think about, you know, how comfortable is it to reach out to somebody? How often, how good of friends am I? You're going to have clients that you talk to already on a consistent basis because you have so much in common with them, because you are actually friends. And so, yeah, I agree. Anybody else have a comment about how often?
Well, I think a lot of times if you're working with a client, whether it be a luxury client or even a commercial client, and you're actively looking for properties for them, just because you don't have anything, I think it's really important to at least send them a text and say, hey, just checking in, still looking, just that little bit of touch. I think, I know when I've purchased a home in the past, I didn't really hear from the agent. I wondered if I was still on their mind. You know, sometimes even just a text, say, just checking in is enough to keep them from going somewhere else if you haven't signed, an agreement yet. So
Sure.
just that little bit, I think, can be a real help.
And I think like Patrick was saying, it's different for different clients. So if you're
Right.
working with somebody, right? Yeah, you want to make sure, do you have any questions? Is there anything I can do for you? Anything you want to go see? Take a look at this that I found, you know, because you'll have to tell me. I assume that most of you have an IDX compatible website that you let people kind of search through. If you don't, that's something you should definitely have, because you don't want your clients to be going to Zillow or some of those other places searching for inventory, because then they're going to be seeing lots of other agents, right? You want them to use your IDX compatible website that has access to the whole MLS, and they're seeing your name with every listing that they're looking at. I have had agents who've lost clients because they ended up calling the listing agent, and they kind of talked them into it. So make sure you have an IDX compatible website. You can go to proagentwebsites.com. I think that's what it is. Anyway, I have it in one of the slides. We'll go over it, but that's one place you can go. So make sure you have that on your website. This is basically, okay, so frequency can be different. Like you could reach out to people once a month. You could reach out to people, you know, every week if you're working with them. You could reach out to people once a year if they just bought. Like, I think Patrick is spot on that you may want to have a couple different lists of people with different timing. But making sure that they are the first person they call when they want to buy, sell. They're the first person they recommend to their friends when they ask, hey, do you know a real estate agent? That's the idea of frequency. Now, what about reach? This class is about database, right? How big of a reach do you need to have? If you're just starting out, right? Who's getting added on that database very first? Think about when you very first started. Who did you add to your database very first?
Everyone.
Okay, everyone, right? So anyone who knows you, knows your name, likes you, trusts you. We talk about it as like a wedding list. Who would you invite to a wedding? Like all those people need to be on there, right? And then once you start adding clients, it's going to get bigger and bigger. And the idea being that your success is going to be directly tied to how the quality of your database and how well you work that database. Okay, so credibility, that's the C. What does credibility mean? Do you need to know what you're talking about as a real estate agent? Do you need to know what the market's doing? Right, that's kind of an easy answer, yes, right? So you need to be spending, we recommend 30 minutes a day, sharpening the saw, becoming the expert, learning about the market, reading books. Excuse me, we have lots of books that we can recommend if you need some, but there's some really good books out there that can help you with understanding how to talk to people, right? It could be about social skills, it could be about the market, it could be about real estate, it could be about how to your marketing techniques, but try to spend 30 minutes a day. And we talk about the professionals are going to spend this time outside of their normal daily working. The amateurs are going to do that during their work time. So, you know, just take 30 minutes in the morning, maybe while you're working out, listen to a podcast, but make sure that you're learning about the market and keeping up on that. That will help with your credibility. Okay, let's see. Any questions there? Any comments? Okay, The 7 steps to success. Time's going by really fast, but we're going to talk about become perceived as the expert in your industry, build your list, introduce and connect, be visible, maintain contact, do the right things during the process, do the right things after the process, do's and don'ts. So dreams don't work unless you do. There's no quick, easy way. How many people have heard people say it's so easy to be a real estate agent, they do nothing? Right? We obviously know that's not true. You guys work hard. The people who are successful at real estate are working hard, and right now probably 10 times harder than they were working last year. So yeah, there definitely is a lot to do, and if you're going to be successful, there's a lot of work that you can do. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So don't get overwhelmed if you learn nothing from this class besides that you need a database. I'm surprised how many agents don't even have one. That's super important, right? Then we're also going to talk about a power hour a little bit later, and that's also one thing that if you learn nothing else, you can learn that. But as we're going through this, just kind of pick up 1 or 2 things that you think you could improve on. That's the whole idea of this, and we just keep improving. Okay, we talked about make sure you have an IDX compatible website. Proagentwebsites.com is a place that you can go. It's a pretty good one. Lots of people will turn to Zillow. We talked about that. That's what you don't want is your clients searching for properties on Zillow or some of the other websites where they're going to see lots of other agents. Dress the part. You don't have to be super fancy, right? But be professional. Let's see. Sorry. Have a good headshot. We are planning to do a headshot. I'm going to sneeze. A headshot activity every January. So if you need a new headshot, come get a free headshot at our office. You'll see that in my emails. But make sure you have an up-to-date headshot and that you're passing out your business cards. Write a weekly email or blog on all things related to real estate. I saw some people, when the quarterly reports come out or how many houses are sold, post that to your people. Let them know what's going on in the market. Let them know that that it's still a good time to buy. That it's always a good time to buy real estate. The only better time was yesterday. And so, like if you can afford to buy, right now is a really great time to buy and know why. Be able to back that up with facts. Like right now you get seller concessions. Right now, properties are, you might even get 30 or 40 below what it was before. Prices are coming down a little bit. People are trying to sell. There's ways to get really good deals right now. Now, is the interest rate higher? Yeah. If you can afford to pay that interest rate over the next 12 months, let's say, a little bit higher interest, and then you refinance, you're in a house for, let's say, $30,000 less, definitely worth it. I'll pay that extra interest all day long. Make a list of questions you always get asked and make videos or post on social media answering people's questions before they have a chance to ask them. I thought this was really good. We had a lady in one of our other classes who said she goes on to some of these real estate websites where people ask a question and then, top agents or people who know the answer will respond. And she takes some of those questions that people are actually getting answered and makes a little post about it and then has the answer. I thought that was a really good idea. Okay, so let's start. We talked about, build your list. Everybody's on it. Patrick said, go through. This is something you can do to just kind of jog your memory and go through who are the people in your life that you associate with who know a lot of people. Your doctor, your dentist, your CPA. It's tax season right now. And maybe hit them up when it's not tax season, when they're not so busy. But anybody that you just notice who you're interacting with. And they all know people. So your reach can get bigger and bigger as you utilize your friends and family, and they know people, and just reach out to them, talk to them. But when you're starting to build your database, create a database of at least 250 households that know you, like you, and trust you. I always say start with the people, your family, friends, and get your neighbors, right? All the people that are around you. Now, what kinds of things are you going to want to have on this database? Somebody unmute and tell me, what are you going to make sure is on there? And how do we find those things? So you have a name of somebody who knows you, likes you, trusts you. What do you want to have in your database? And let's talk about what's the best database out there right now. Kind of a trick question, but what's the best database out there?
one that works for you.
Thank you. The one you're going to use. Okay. Now, I always recommend for people to start with like an Excel sheet or something and get all the information, start kind of working it and making sure you have all the information before you start trying to figure out what you're going to need. And then you'll kind of be able to see, like, what do I need to track? What kinds of things do I want to track? And that will help you be able to pick the, excuse me, pick the database that's going to work the best for you. So yeah, if you need kind of a jog your memory, let me know. I can send out these slides to you if you want to email me that. Okay, so once you have your database and you've got these people that you're going to be working with, what we want to introduce ourselves. People skip this step sometimes, and I feel like it's one of the most important steps because you don't want to go right to the maintenance. Maintenance being like sending out cards, having some, automated things go out monthly. You want to introduce and connect first. And one of the things that you can do, let's say week 1, you mail out a letter and business cards to your first group, kind of break them up into groups. Alice was saying she tries to call 10 people a day. So that would be, let's say that you're going to do five days, right? And 10 people a day, 50 letters that you're going to send out that first week. And then the next week, you're going to start calling them. Hey, did you get my letter? I just wanted to see how you're doing. You're asking them about themselves. We call it the 2-1 rule. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So listen twice as much as you talk. And people love to talk about themselves and ask them, how are you doing? And it usually comes up, what are you, we talk about FORD, maybe you guys have heard that. So FORD, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And those are kind of some ideas to kind of jog about what things you can talk to them about. Talk about their family, talk about what they do for a living, talk about, what have you done lately? What kind of fun things have you done? What, in your dreams. So be genuine. Nobody likes to get calls from somebody who's reading a script. I can't get off the phone fast enough when I have somebody reading a script. You can practice when you're new, like with other people, and kind of use scripts to practice, but I would discourage you from actually reading a script when you call people, and you'll get better at it the more you do it. So anybody have any ways that that's helped them do their calls, things that they tell themselves or things that they try to talk about? Has anybody done this idea where you send something out and then call and see if they received it? Anybody have any stories about that? Anybody agree that being genuine is the most important thing? Disagree?
Again, I've learned a lot from my sister, and she's really never advertised, and she just works on referral. And because her clients do become her friends, because she is super genuine, I think it goes a long way, especially if you get to know who they are, like you said, and it just really helps to build because they refer like crazy. We're like do cousins and sisters and brothers, it's just the list goes on and on.
Right.
So
have you guys read the Blue Fishing book or heard of that book?
no.
So it's an idea that when you're having a conversation with somebody, you listen and find something that you can remember from the conversation to use in your next conversation. So let's say that somebody says, I love to read, I can't get enough of books or whatever. Then the next time you talk to them, I know you love to read, I just read this book, might be of interest to you. Or somebody who loves to ski. The next time you talk to them, you remember that they said they love to ski and you can talk to them about that. So the idea is that you really listen and connect with people on things that that they talk about, so that the next time you talk to them, you can connect with them on that idea. And I feel like when people are genuine, they do that. That's why it works, because you really are listening to what they're saying and you care about them and you're not just talking about yourself. So I really do feel like, that's the ideal, is to get to the point where you're just working off referrals. Those are going to be the best deals for you. And as you have more and more deals and as you work with more and more people, the more genuine and the more you stay in contact with them, I think that's just naturally what happens. Thank you. Okay, so don't skip the introduce and connect. Make sure that you're doing that. You can, there's 26, we always say there's 26 letters in the alphabet, there's 52 weeks in the year. So you can kind of put people in alphabetical order and call the A's and the B's and the Cs, right, each week. And so that would be 2 contacts a year with a phone call if you just called the A's one week and the B's the next week. So that's another way to kind of introduce and connect without having to send a mailer if you don't want to do that beforehand. There's so many ways. Okay, so at least twice a year, drop by your past clients' homes or office and take something to them. Now, Corinne said she sends crumble cookies on their birthday. Corinne, I'm curious, do you call them also and say, hey, did you get my cookies?
Not always. It does allow you to see if they've accepted it or not. So that would be a good way. If they didn't accept it, then to call. I
Okay.
should probably be better about looking at that. No, but we do actually, my sister and I, we do, I have an Amazon gift card image that I've created. So when we do gift cards for referrals or for things like that, it does have our own personal brand on it, which is electronic through Amazon. And then I do text or call to let them know that that's coming in, that it's not a scam.
Okay.
So that's a quick way to do a really fast touch without taking a lot of time on both sides. So yeah,
That's
just
wonderful. Yeah.
better than sending gift cards through the mail these days. You know, you never know if they're going to get there.
Sure,
So
sure. And then it gives you a reason to reach out. That's what we're looking for, right? A reason to
Yes.
reach out other than, hey, do you know anybody who wants to buy, sell real estate, right? That's what we're saying, but we want it to be genuine and not just I'm asking for business. We want there to be, and it's a value add for them, right? They're happy to talk to you. Oh, that was so nice. They feel special. And that's what we're looking for rather than just, hey, do you know anybody that can be my client?
yeah, we do a $25 gift card for every referral, whether or
Okay.
not they sign a buyer broker agreement or listing agreement, whatever, just the referral alone, that they actually called you and said, hey, I have someone for you. And then if the deal is completed, then we give them much more, a bigger amount on a gift card as well.
Okay.
So
That's awesome. So what is, now you can pay for unsolicited referrals. Can you pay for solicited referrals?
I don't know if I know that answer.
So technically
You can't
pay for
offer to pay
unsolicited.
for referrals.
Kevin, say that
okay.
again.
You can't offer to pay for referrals. Of
Correct.
course, you can ask for referrals and then give a gift for the person giving the referral, but you can't offer to pay for a referral.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then we're still in compliance. Good.
Right. I just wanted to make that clear because you can get referrals all the time and you can pay, but you just can't say, if you send me referrals, then I'll pay you. So that's just the chance, the unsolicited. So I think that's a really awesome idea. Yeah, if somebody refers to you, then you say, hey, thanks for that, right? They're going to want to do that again. They're recognized. So now lenders can't do that. We can't send anything for a referral. And I'll have agents sometimes call and say, hey, if I send you people, can you give me a referral fee? And I can't. But I can stop by and just do a pop by and say, hi, I really appreciate working with you. And I hope that we can do a deal soon. And this is just because I like you. So I can do that. And it's not tied to any kind of referral. You don't have to give me anything because I gave you something. So just know that there's a little bit different rules and we got to be careful, make sure we're compliant. We have a whole nother class about advertising that we talk about that. But so that's awesome. I think that's definitely a super awesome thing. Now, you guys, if somebody comes to you and says, and you say, hey, if you sign with me, I'll give you a big screen TV. Is that in compliant?
Yes, because it's the person who's doing business with you. So that's like part of your terms.
Yeah, you can give them whatever you want. It's like discounting your fee, right? So you can do that if you want. Okay.
Are there limits though?
There aren't limits on that. There are limits on referral fees. So if you're giving somebody something because they referred to you, it's a $250 limit.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not a limit on if they sign with you, what you can give them. Oh, interesting. Yeah, thanks for that question. So an effective real estate agent should not be passive, holding a brief that he or she is in the mercy of the market. Now, though people people who will come and say, the market's too hard. I just, I'm gonna go get another job. It's too hard. The rates are too high. People just, if that's your mentality, then you're not going to find any business, right? So being proactive does not mean jumping at every offer, but instead means managing your time to ensure that you get ahead. There's always business, no matter what the market is, no matter how the interest rates are. There's always people who need to buy. And the interest rates have cut a lot of people out, and a lot of people are waiting and scared to jump in. But don't let that stop you from marketing. Don't let that stop you from continuing your business. There's plenty of business out there still. Now, one of the other problems we're facing is inventory too, right? We hear people say there's no inventory out there, and that is a real problem. But again, our mentality is going to make the difference in how successful we are. Okay, we're kind of running out of time quick here, so I'm going to go down a little bit. I wanted to talk about, so after the process, take them a closing gift after closing, a week or two later. You could do it a little bit later. You can bring it to the closing table. Sometimes people like to do it a little bit later. January phone call with their settlement statement. That's a good touch. Anniversary call from when they closed on their home. They call it house anniversary, I've heard it said. Set up your birthday program that we've talked about. Make sure you put them into your maintenance marketing program. Again, don't discount that these people are going to be able to send referrals, and also that you're going to want to have them at the forefront of your mind, you at the forefront of their mind when they are ready to buy again, or when they know people. Okay, I want to talk about something before I let you guys go. We've only given one word, so I tend to have this problem on these short classes. Let's do the second word as house anniversary. I think that's a kind of a cute little thing that I've heard lately. The second word is house anniversary. Let's see, we maybe have 5 more minutes. We really are done, but let me do the third word as database. So the second word was house anniversary, third word database. And then let's talk about power hour really quick, because I really feel like that's one of the very most important things. If you get nothing from this class besides that, I want you to take away the importance of power hour, and let's talk about that, and then I'll give the final word and let you guys go. What is power hour and how important is it? Power hour, there's lots of ways people describe it, lots of other ways, but basically you want to have a time set aside to do your prospecting every day. It needs to be something that you do religiously, something that you don't let anybody interrupt you. We have some signs on our doors that say sacred power hour, don't interrupt unless you have a $100 bill. So that important that you do your prospecting every day. I've worked with some agents who have, like, let's say they have 4 or 5 deals and I don't have time to market. What happens in about 3 months when all those deals are closed? How many deals do they have? 0, right? We have to be continuously marketing. We're always chasing the next deal. We're never done in this sales force. You always, whatever marketing you're doing now is probably going to yield benefits in about 3 months. And so we're always marketing for the future, and we need to make sure that that is one of the most important things we do. What should you be doing during this power hour? Let's say you don't have any deals. I would recommend that you're doing about 2 to 3 hours of marketing a day, prospecting, calling people on the phone, talking to past clients, calling your database. Okay, this is time you're on the phone. It's not time preparing. It's not time doing flyers. It's not time working on your emails. It's not time any of that. It's following up with clients, following up with leads, making sure that you get new leads, and spending that time with that. If you have lots of deals going on and you're super busy, maybe you're only doing 1 hour of power hour a day, but make sure that you set that aside so that you're doing that. One thing, this might help it stick in your mind a little bit better. If you've been to some of my other classes, you might have heard me say we call it diarrhea time. Why do we call it diarrhea time? One of the ladies in my other class said, because you get a crap ton of work done. I thought that was hilarious. No, but diarrhea, when you have diarrhea, does anything get in your way from taking care of business? Nothing, right? You're gonna make sure that you get that taken care of. And so that's the idea. If that helps stick in your mind, if you can laugh about it, enjoy it, find ways to really enjoy your diarrhea time, your prospecting time. It's one of the most important things, if not the most important thing you're going to do as an agent. because that is your job, is lead generation. And so I'd love to hear your successes about this. Try something. When you send your email, maybe even send me what the one thing you're going to work on that you took, your one takeaway from this class when you send me your 4 words. So let's do our 4th word, diarrhea time. Have fun figuring out how to spell that. But we should have 4 words. We are done with the class. You can stay on if you have any questions for me, but I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. I appreciate you showing up. Make sure you have a good database. Figure out something that you can work on. We're always tweaking and improving, and I want you guys to be successful. So thanks for coming.
Thanks. This was a great class.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much, Edyn. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Edyn.
Thanks. Make sure you email me your 4 words.
Oh, okay.
What's your email again, Edyn?
ejohnson@securityhomemortgage.com.
Thanks. And what was that book you were talking about before? About the blue fishing book?
Blue fishing, yeah. Let me
Okay.
look it up real quick because I can't remember if it's actually called blue fishing. It might be. Let me see if I can find it real quick for you. I think it's called blue fishing. Yeah. The art of blue fishing, the art of, I'm sure it's on Amazon.
I can find it from there.
Fishing, the
Yeah.
art of making things happen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, sorry, somehow I missed the first word.
Oh, let me see if I remember. I don't remember what it is, but I should have written it down. Bethany, did you write it down?
The first word is FXRXC.
Oh, right. F times R times C. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What was the last word? How did I miss the last word?
Diarrhea.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I got that word. Thanks.
Okay,
Have a good
thanks.
day.
Have a great day.
You too.